It started the day we moved into the old house on Maple Street. It was a fixer-upper, but my parents had high hopes of turning it into our dream home. The house was large, with creaky wooden floors and peeling wallpaper, but it was the basement that gave me the creeps. Something about the damp, musty air and the way the single bulb cast shadows that didn't seem to move with the light. I was tasked with cleaning out the upstairs bedroom, the one that would become mine. As I peeled away the faded wallpaper, I found writing on the walls underneath. At first, it seemed like random words and phrases, scribbled in a hurried, uneven hand. Help me, don't trust them, it's watching. The sentences sent chills down my spine, but I convinced myself it was just the work of some previous occupant with a dark sense of humor. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. By the next day, the writing had spread. The words I uncovered weren't confined to my room anymore. They were in the hallway, the kitchen, even the bathroom. They weren't just words either. They were warnings, increasingly desperate and horrifying. It hides in the dark. Cover the mirrors. Leave before it's too late. My parents dismissed it as old graffiti, the work of teenagers who might have squatted in the house years ago. Don't let it get to you, my dad said. But I couldn't ignore the uneasy feeling growing in the pit of my stomach. That night, I woke up to a scratching sound. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, coming from the walls. I tried to convince myself it was just mice, but then I saw it. Letters etching themselves into the plaster, slowly forming a message right before my eyes. Run. Frozen in terror, I watched as more words appeared, scrawled by an unseen hand. It's in the basement. I should have stayed in bed. I should have ignored it. But something compelled me to go downstairs. Maybe it was the faint sound of crying I thought I heard beneath the floorboards, or the way the air seemed to hum with an unseen force. I grabbed a flashlight and descended the creaky stairs into the basement. The air grew colder with every step. Shadows seemed to ripple across the walls, twisting and writhing like they were alive. At the far end of the room, there was a door I hadn't noticed before. It was small and wooden, with deep scratches across its surface, as though something had tried to claw its way out. My hand trembled as I reached for the handle. The crying grew louder, muffled and agonized, coming from behind the door. I swung it open, and the crying stopped. Inside was a small, empty space, bare concrete walls and nothing else. But as I stepped closer, the flashlight flickered, and the walls lit up with writing, dozens of sentences scrawled in that same frantic hand. It's not human. It wants you. You can't escape. And then I felt it. Presence. Cold and suffocating, like the air had been sucked out of the room. I turned around, and there it was, a shadow impossibly tall and wrong, its form shifting and oozing as it moved toward me. Its eyes were empty voids, and its mouth twisted into a grin that didn't belong on anything alive. I ran. I didn't stop until I was upstairs, slamming the basement door shut behind me. My parents found me in the kitchen, shaking and pale. They didn't believe me when I told them what I saw, but the next morning, they couldn't ignore the writing that now covered every wall in the house. Get out. We left that day, abandoning the house and everything in it. The new owners moved in a month later, and I tried not to think about what might happen to them. But sometimes, late at night, I hear the sound of scratching on the walls, and I wonder if it ever really let us leave.